All right, we live. Happy New Year to each and every one of you, and welcome to our credit kickoff. We're so happy to see you guys. We want to introduce some new things coming your way in 2026. Let me turn it over to Diamond, and I'm going to check to make sure uh, everything is working and streaming. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So, as we said back in November or December, that we would be back in January to do our credit kickoff. So, we're here every weekend for the rest of January for you guys to get some exclusive credit tips. So, thank you guys so much for coming in. We do have some new things to share with you. And also, while you guys are coming in, please let us know where you're viewing from. So a few new things to share with you. We have some new channels that are up or that we want you guys to know about. If anyone is interested in ways to make money from home, or you are interested in a way that you could be utilizing the online space, the digital space to have an extra income. One of the best ways to do that is through social media. So if anyone is interested in learning how to make a full-time income out of these social media platforms, these free platforms, then I wanted to let you guys know that I have a new channel that is called She Thrives Online with Diamond Chanel. So if that resonates with anyone, if you guys either you have a message, you guys want to create digital products, you want to find different ways to earn multiple streams online, I am going to be talking more about that and some things that you guys could do even as very beginners to start monetizing from the jump. So I'm going to put my new channel there. And also, guys, thank you so much for coming in. And then, Mom, I know you want to talk about the credit cards or the...
Yes. So, along with the credit kickoff, a lot of you guys with my channel that I had now is Diamond and Sherry Beckley Talks. So, over on that channel, to help support you with this credit kickoff, I'm going to on Wednesdays give you guys actual lines of credit to help you. Because if you don't know, one of those strategies that I always use for you guys is if you want to increase your credit score at least by 50 points on average, you don't sometimes have to remove one negative item. As long as that negative item is not dinging you every month, you can increase your credit score by 50 points if you're under a 700 credit score by adding on a line of credit. A lot of times, if you have went through some credit problems, a lot of your accounts close out and it actually hurts your credit score because you don't have revolving lines of credit. So utilization is debt to available credit. And if all your credit lines have closed down, you don't have any available credit. And that's 30% of your credit score. That's the second largest chunk. So without having revolving lines of credit, it's real hard to see your credit score go up. So I'm going to assist you to finding just approvable lines of credit, especially if your credit, just slipped. And sometimes it's hard to do that. So I actually have a technique where you can get credit card companies to reach out to you. Okay, so that's what you want, because many of people rack up a ton of hard inquiries because they just apply for credit lines, and those credit card companies may not be looking for your credit profile right now. It doesn't mean like it's going to be forever. So there are companies that are looking for you. Trust me, banks need you more than you need the bank. Okay, because banks only make money off of interest and sometimes annual fees. So if they don't have somebody to lend to, guess what? They're out of business. So they're looking for customers, but you might be going for a top tier credit card. And right now, you might be in the subprime category, and they're just not looking for you right now. But as you go through this challenge that we have with this credit kickoff, you might be there sooner than you think. So I'm going to drop some videos every Wednesday. So Diamond is going to drop that link. Also, subscribe to that channel in both of the channels. Just turn on your notification bell and you'll get the notification. And I'll make sure if you miss, you guys, any new credit lines that I'm rolling out to help you in that category, I'm going to make a playlist for you. So you can just go there. It'll be titled Credit Kickoff. So you can find ways to get those lines of credit, especially, if you just recently just had a mishap. So to replace those credit lines. So anything else you have to add, Diamond?
Also, no, I think that I'm sorry. I think that was it for right now. And I'm just here dropping the links. Just give me 1 second, guys. I want to have these links ready for you.
And Happy New Year. And I'm so excited about this rollout with her channel, She Thrives with Diamond Chanel. You guys, right now, social media, believe it or not, you might be utilizing it as just a mode of entertainment, but there's ways for you to make money. Now, some of us might be intimidated, but you should get your kids to sign on to that because it might not be for you, but trust and believe these kids now are geniuses online. So even if you know some of your children, grandchildren, have them to subscribe to the channel because you might not you might need to actually have them to work this for you because now you even have these smaller children. You put a 3-year-old, give them a iPad, and y'all have seen it. They know how to go and how to work and go to these apps. It's almost amazing. So now you may want to really nurture that ability because a lot with AI coming in, you may need to get your children's and your grandchildren mind into entrepreneurship right now while it's still right. And social media is one of the ways that these kids are doing it. Okay. So streaming like Kai Sanat, and there's a lot of names that's out there of young people making money with social media. So I know a lot of times we have to monitor that with your kids, but it could be the next avenue. They might be the next star on these YouTube streets. A lot of cable and stuff is going away. So advertisers is going to social media. So make sure you guys do that. And thank you everyone coming in from Harlem. I seen Harlem. Hello, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Robert, thank you for coming in. Everybody that is dropping in, we really appreciate you guys. And we are not going to hold up your time. So we're going to jump into information. Diamond, anything else?
No, and also, guys, if you can, I see Frankie told us that she wanted to buy a car and own her own house, which is beautiful. So, guys, please let us know what are your goals for this year and what are you trying to achieve, and what are some issues that you're having with your credit that's kind of stopping you from getting there.
And I want to hear about that because at the end we always have the Q&A. That's
Yes.
kind of my favorite part of doing these lives, to hear back from you guys. Yes, we need to know what your goals is, because one of the good things my people in the elite credit system, they already know because we have our Zoom meeting and it's almost like a powwow. And one of the great things is people have goals. There was a member, and people could be working on their credit, but if they need a car, they need something according to your credit score. If I can see it, I've been making lists for people and what they need. This particular person needed a car. And so we did the first round, their credit improved because items came off and it put them in another position and they were able to get a car. Now, hey, look, your credit don't have to be pristine. Okay. Sometimes we have to recognize we need what we need. So if you need to get back and forth to work, sometimes you can't wait to that credit score be 800 credit score, because you have to feed your family. You got to get to work. You got to pay your bills. So when I come down with credit, it is not just about strategy. Just cleaning off your credit report. It's about strategy on how you need to live life. Okay. Because we all know life is life. And I want to give you guys, I'm going to drop a video. Please, you guys, please, 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 please listen to this. You do know garnishments, if you have student loans, is coming back January 7th, 2026. If anybody have student loans that's behind, please reach out to your servicer. Okay. I just want to make that announcement. I should have made that at the beginning. Reach out to your servicer. They're garnishing wages, and many of us need our tax returns. Do not let them take your tax returns because you don't have a plan in place. Please do that, because I know some people right now, these tax returns are supposed to be larger. You need your money, okay? Because some of us, if we have high utilization, things like that, that can be a means to pay that down. So please, you guys, I would hate that. That happened to me one time. It wasn't for student loans, but trust me, it was 10 years ago. I was sick because sometimes you are banking on that money. So just watch out for that. So Diamond, anything else, and then we'll get started.
So as we are going live, I'm probably going to drop down, but in the meantime, I'll be reading you guys' comments and saving them. So please, if you have any questions throughout the live, if you just have a question off the top of your head, go ahead, drop it in the comments, and we will be circling back to it towards the end of the live where we have our live Q&A. So Happy New Year's, everyone. And that's all that I have right now.
All right, and we're going to jump in. It's going to be about 7 steps. Just keep that in mind in order to increase your credit score in these 30 days. So I want you guys, if you can, take notes. Sometimes you can just take notes in your cell phone, but I want to give you some actionable steps, okay? To just really that you can apply to your life. So number 1, you need to know where your credit score is. So you got to monitor your credit. So imagine, just like a lot of us is trying to lose weight for the new year, get a better health journey going on. In order for you to lose weight, you have to know what is your current weight. Even though it hurts your heart sometimes to step on that scale, you have to know what's working and where you're making progress. Because if you do not check, you don't know. It's the same way when you have trouble credit. Sometimes we hate to go and look at that credit score, but if you don't know where you are, then we don't know if you're making progress. So you need to do that. I know a lot of people, you can go to annual credit reports and get your credit reports for free, but just remember, you guys, they don't give you a score there. And whatever items that's there on that one annual report, that's dated information. If you start to dispute those negative items or take steps that I'm going to give you to increase your credit score, you may make progress from that point. So we need to know, just like you weighing on the scale every week, what's working for you. If we're going backwards and we're gaining weight, we need to know what's not working at the same time. So that's going to be your first step. You got to monitor your credit. You got to see what's wrong in order to fix the problem. Because just like losing weight, your credit is personal to you. Okay. So sometimes we might see somebody, making their weight loss goals, and they're maybe a vegan or vegetarian. I tried that, but it wasn't working for me because I bloat a lot from just eating too many, like just vegetables or certain vegetables. So in that case, that might not be my best thing. Maybe a higher protein diet, lower carb might be best for me. So the same thing with your credit. Sometimes people say, my cousin did this and that. Your cousin life is different from your life. So if you may need to look at your credit, and one thing, you guys, some of y'all might have really good credit and you just have to tweak some things. I'll give you a couple of examples. Well, one example for sure. I talk about. I had a friend that I already knew their situation, and they had a real rough patch with their credit, and they was like, my credit is still down. It haven't improved, and they were saying, I think it's from that situation. I said, no, that's been like 10, 11 years ago. That couldn't be the issue. We walked through it. They joined the elite credit system, and then I could see whatever issues that's going on with their credit. This person had like a 580 credit score, perfect credit history. They didn't perfect payment history. So those old items have been fell off. But what their problem was their utilization. So we went over where they had to pay their credit cards, at what date and what cycle. With us as a score provider, we use smart credit, and it gives you score boosts. So it'll tell you what date to pay off your credit cards, and also how many points it's going to increase. And so it's a gauge there. This person credit score was actually a 829 credit score. They couldn't believe it. Once they paid off their credit cards that month, their credit score jumped from 580 to 829. So some of you guys are experiencing the same thing. Believe it or not, if you're that person that said, I don't know why my score isn't improving and why is it so low? I pay my bills on time. It could be the same issue. You might just need to tweak your utilization. I had one person, believe it or not, they couldn't figure out why their credit score had tanked, was so low. Come to find out, he was like, my utilization is really good. And you know what? His utilization was really good, except it was a small credit card, one of his first credit builder credit cards. And for some reason, he used that credit card instead of using one of his larger lines. And because it was like a $300 line, and he had larger lines of credit, I'm talking about 25,000. And I'm like, hey, your problem is this. And because that card was so close to being maxed out, like about 90%, his score was being held down. And what it looked like, your overall utilization will look good when you look at it as Experian. But he couldn't figure out, well, why is my score so low? It just so happened, he said, I don't know why I used that credit card. I just had, I guess in a rush, that was the first one he pulled. And one time it was making the minimum payment, but really never paid it down. So that's another thing. You might have to review your credit lines. And like I said, make some adjustments, and you might really have good credit, especially if you've been paying your bills on time. So do not give up if you're seeing that, because many people would get discouraged and say, well, why should I be on time if my credit is not improving? Do not do that. If you are able to make your monthly payments, go on and make it, and you just might need to do some adjustments. So it's important for you to monitor your credit moving forward so you can know what needs to be done and what's currently working. So that's going to be number one. Now, number two, the next major step out of the 7, you want to look at your payment history. If we don't know, payment history is the largest chunk of your credit score, which is 35%. So we all know that's a nuisance. If you had an account that charged off, unfortunately, a charge off happened within 180 days if you get behind on your payments of your account. It may be a collection. That's a longer period. After 180 days, and it turns into a charge off, and they're really trying to pursue that. Many a times those companies just give up and sell that debt to a collection company. So you might get a collection. So you'll see that on your credit report. Now, one thing that's important when you're looking at those negative items on your credit report, you want to see if it's hitting you late every month. You have companies now notorious for that because, like I said earlier, you don't really need to remove a negative item to see your score going up. If it hits you and that's it, it stops. It's a charge off and it's not hitting you late every month or a collection, just realize any new negative item, that's what brings your score down. So the first 90 days, your score go down, then it'll start to go back up, believe it or not. So what these companies are now doing is trying to hit you. You'll see on your credit report like a CO or a C, or it'll look like it's a late payment. You need to stop that. You want to dispute it. We do have with me the elite credit system. That's the AI software with the coaching. It'll generate you some letters for you. If you just want to dispute yourself, we do have packages. Diamond to drop that. If you have a negative item, that's why it's important to look at your credit score. That's step number one. And I want you to look at your negative items and see, once you pull it down, is there something hitting you every month? They're doing that on purpose to stop your score from going up. If you have a collection doing that, that's a violation. It's a collection. You never had an account with that company, so there's not a scheduled monthly payment. So you want to dispute that because that's a violation. Another thing with your payment history, we want to look at your accounts. Now, many people think that all closed accounts are bad. All closed accounts are not bad. If it has positive payment history, we want to leave that alone. You do not want to dispute that. But if it has some late payments, how many late payments and how long ago? So what you can do, instead of throwing the baby away with the bathwater, we can target those late payments, okay? The best strategy is going for the latest payment first. So the one that is the farthest back in time to dispute that and move forward. So if you have the majority of that account with late payments, then we may want to attack the whole account to get rid of it. But if it's one or two late payments and it was 5 years ago, then you just want to dispute that late payment history. So that's another way that you want to look at it. So we don't want to remove that. Like student loans, a lot of people say, hey, I need to get these student loans off. If it's been in deferment, if it's been in forbearance, a lot of times those positive payments are helping you out. So you want to make sure that you're not tampering with that. Another thing that you want to look for in that payment history, we have been seeing in the group, as those student loans, like back in the summer and maybe even earlier this year with the Department of Education, moving Mahalia, moving some of those accounts around, we need to see that they put all that good payment history back. So some people was seeing their credit scores dropping on one bureau and this other bureau higher. It's because they removed some of those positive payments. So they shorten the payment history. And that might be a problem for you if you notice, like, hey, why did my credit score drop like that? I haven't been late. There's nothing crazy going on. Why is this such a big dip? Look at those student loans. Make sure that they gave you all that past payment history. Now, moving on to the third part the third step that you want to look at is utilization. So we need to know utilization a lot of time is neglected because everybody look at payment history. But what makes up your credit score majority? The biggest two factors is payment history, 35%, and utilization is 30%. That's 65% of your credit score. That's the majority. So that's what you want to laser focus on. People, if you're trying to increase your credit score and you're under that 700 credit score, even if you're above, you need to zone into that utilization. That's like the first place that I start because it's the quickest way to increase your credit score and the quickest way to decrease your credit score because utilization change monthly. So that's why I tell you about that hack. If you're under that 700 credit score, adding on that revolving line of credit can help boost your credit score by 50 points on average. We just got to make sure nothing is dinging you every month negatively. And the other great part about adding on that revolving line of credit is doing two things at once. As you pay that on time, it's helping your payment history. So that's helping that and your utilization. So that's why credit card payments can be a better strategy than adding on. If y'all know, I'm not big on adding on like the pledge loan with Navy Federal. I don't like to add on debt per se, and installment payments unless it's a particular strategy, which when I move on to the fourth one, this may fit in that category, but that's the only time I would do it. Okay. But generally, you're better off with that revolving line of credit. So, one of the biggest things you want to do if you currently have credit cards, make sure you're paying them down and make sure you're paying them down on time. Okay. So, your due date, that is the date that your credit card is due. But 3 to 4 days after that, that's the report date. That's when they report those balances to your credit card company and it stays stuck there for the next 28 days. If you are missing that date and you're wondering why, hey, I keep paying down my credit card and my score is not going up, that could be the problem. You're on time, you're not missing that 30-day window. So you're not making a late payment, but it's not showing up that you paid that card down because that's when they report it in that window of time. So you want to make sure your cards that's coming up, you want to pay them down and you can see an increase in your credit score in days. So watch that utilization. And like I said on Wednesday, I'm going to drop those lines of credit on a way that can help that utilization if you guys need an option to get a credit card that is right fitting for you. Okay, we don't want to just randomly just apply for credit. Another good thing with the elite credit system, me making those lists, looking at your credit score, and what I've been doing for people is getting credit cards and finding lists of pre-approved credit cards according to your credit score and where banks pull from that bureau that is the strongest for you. So if it's Equifax, then we're going to find some soft pull pre-approvals for Equifax because you got that at a higher credit score. And as you cleaning up your credit, there's many times one bureau might come totally clean and we can leverage that in order to build the rest of your credit. So just keep in mind of that strategy. But I need to be able to see it if you're part of the elite credit system and you need a list for yourself for credit lines according to your credit score, just hit me up and I can make that for you. Now, the fourth part is going to be age of credit. So age of credit is the third biggest chunk of your credit score. For all my people that's over that 700 and you're trying to increase your credit score, we don't want to mess with age of credit because it becomes very important over that 700 credit score. So we don't want to close any revolving credit card accounts down because the longer they're there, the better the age of credit. Now, with installment loans, with your car loans, many people are disappointed when they pay that car off and see their credit score drop. That's why I'm not big on installment accounts many times for payment history. It just depends on the strategy because when it closes that account, you'll see your score drop many times because it's messing with your age of credit. As long as that account is open, then it's helping with your age. But soon as it closes, it shortens your age of credit. This is why revolving credit cards generally don't close. And so it'll keep that age of credit going. So with people over that 700 credit score, when I say the hack of adding a new credit card, it'll give the opposite effect of decreasing your credit score. That's why age of credit, any new account that you add on and you're over that 700 credit score, it'll decrease that age of credit. So the more new accounts you add, then it shortens your age of credit. So we need to garden. That means only getting credit cards in certain cycles, or your existing credit cards you want to ask for a credit line increase, and that can actually maintain the age of credit and help your credit card utilization. If you can boost it up, it'll help that area. So those are one of the ways that you can do that and maintain that, or be added on to an authorized user account, somebody with good credit history, good utilization, and then you can inherit also their age of credit and positive payment history. Now, number 5, mix of credit. Now, mix of credit can be a little confusing, but if you're a person with a higher credit score, and you really want to know why, my credit really isn't, getting to the 800 where I want. Sometimes it can be mix of credit. So you may have credit card accounts and other loans, installment loans, or maybe you just have credit card accounts. That can happen many times, but you don't have an installment loan. So maybe you don't have a car loan, your car is paid off, and then that's where you might want to add a pledge loan if it's going to help with your mix of credit, because they want to see you have installment accounts. So just understand your credit score for credit card companies, lenders, is all about data. Okay. So they want to see with that mix of credit, how do you handle multiple types of accounts? How do you fare out? And so with the mix of credit, they want to see how you handle installment loans. They want to see how you handle credit cards. So understand, they want to dictate the probability of you as a person. What is your grade, which is your credit card, of you actually not paying this back? So that's why that mix of credit is an important part sometimes, but it doesn't mean if you're at a 740 credit score, pretty much you're getting the same interest rates as somebody with an 850 credit score. You just want to make sure you're using your good credit to your advantage as possible. So you want to just watch out for that. I'm not telling you to go out and get a car loan because you're like, oh, this is for my mix of credit. You can find other than small installment loans, like say the pledge loan or other loans. You just want to keep it low, because adding those installment loans can get you disqualified for loans if you're not careful. It looks like now you're putting a payment, and it can mess with your debt to available credit, your DTI. So you might get lower limits because you're adding on that debt. So we want to be careful on that. So you definitely want to just make sure that's something that you need. So if you're over that 700 credit score, all right. So that's that mix of credit part. And then the 6th part is inquiries. So hard inquiries, if you don't know, that's if you're searching for credit, they will put that on your credit score, and it decreases your credit score because they want to know why you're looking for credit like that. Are you being denied for credit? Why isn't the next bank approving you? So that's one of the strategies too. Banks only trust you as far as the last bank trusts you. So that's even the strategy that we'll talk about later about getting those larger credit lines. Banks don't trust you at all. If the last bank trusts you, they'll trust you. So when they start seeing those hard inquiries and nobody's giving this person a loan, or nobody's approving this person. They might be actually approving you, but they're saying, why are they still looking? Then they think you're in a financial desperate strain. One thing to remember about banks, they don't want to lend you money when you need it. Okay. So that's what it looked like. You need money really bad. So the worst thing a lot of people do is go in the bank. I really need this. I lost my job. Really? I'm sorry to hear that. Denied. If you don't give me this money, my business is going to shut down. Denied. Banks don't want to hear that. They want to make sure you're going to pay them back. So your job is to make it look like, oh, I don't really need this money. Okay. So those hard inquiries, those are part of it. So you want to minimize those. Each hard inquiry is 3 to 5 points. And if you guys went out and got a car and you ain't bring your own loan with you, many of you guys credit score might be down right now because they shotgun your credit report with a ton of higher inquiries. So you want to dispute those off and you can see an increase in your credit score. And the last one, which is number 7, is taking action. Listen, you can get all the information you want about your credit, how to improve your credit score. But if you're not applying it and taking action and really doing something, you're not going to, you're not going to see results, no matter using the late weight loss thing, because a lot of people have that as their goal. You could want to be, lose 100 pounds or lose 60 pounds all you want. If you don't take action, you're not going to see any results. Pretty much the same thing with your credit report. Understand, credit is an algorithm based off of your behavior, period. Just like your diet. Pretty much whatever your weight is pretty much going to be based off of your behavior. Yes, there's some outliers to the situation, such as thyroid problems, but the majority of people in this world has contributed to their own weight gain. A lot of us have contributed to that credit score. It's just like that scale. It's reflecting what's going on in your life. So a lot of people get mad at the scale, might get mad at the credit report, but it's picking up on your behavior. So this is why we want to give you education points, because most of the time you're going to have a problem in 2 areas. And one of them we're fixing with Diamond, showing you how to make money off of social media. That's one, because one of the biggest ones is cash flow. I never met a person that said, just woke up, you know what, today I'm just going to mess up my credit. I just feel like that. Nobody does that. Either it's a death in the family, you lose your job, life happens. So that's why that cash flow stops. So if we can find little ways to help you guys get other streams of income, let's try to do that. That's, we already see inflation is going up and we only have so much time in the day to work. So if we can find some other ways to leverage social media to make money, to invest, let's do that. Let's leverage your credit to not get more liabilities that we got to work and pay for, but let's see if we can get some assets up in there. Okay. So one for me was investing in real estate, being a landlord, and now I get cash flow. Was it a cost at first? Yes. Investing sometimes is not easy. I will tell you, if I could do now, the social media part is way easier than being a landlord. Okay. And you don't need the money. All right. Social media, I will say, is free and you can make money. Get an investment property. Y'all see, I started over 21 years ago. Prices was high, but they real high now. So if people are interested in investing in real estate, I can touch on that too. I did, if y'all don't know, I just bought some farmland, or 5.5 acres of farmland. So if y'all want to know about the strategy with that, maybe raw land is a good place. I'm trying to, McDonald had a farm. I'm going to try to do get into some homesteading and try to see if I can, Trump pushing a lot of money over there to farmers. I need to pull up to that USDA. Okay, so there are ways to make money with raw land. So if you're interested in doing that, yeah, because the home part is very expensive. So if you have land, now you can take that land to the bank as a down payment and you can build there. The bank accept that as a down payment and you can build. So that might be a cheaper way in order to get in the game. Or my father, he's got 74 acres of land. He plant timber, and a lot of you in the South, y'all know about that. And you seed and cut. The USDA will help you with that, ponds, everything else. So that's a strategy. Or social media is free. That can get you to the land. So that a strategy, learning how to make cash flow, okay, to go into our investments. All right. Thank you guys for the congratulations. But it's all a cost. You get what I'm saying? It's all a strategy, but that can help you keep that cash going, or just whatever that's tolerable for you, so you can get some additional cash flow. And the second part is education. Sometimes we don't know we're not paying our credit cards on time, or we're using a lot of that credit line, and that's what's taking our credit score. So that's that second part. So we got to take action in these areas. Right now, you might be in a stage of life, investment might not be there for you, but we can put it on our calendar. I want you guys to make it part of your goals, because at the end of the day, prices only are going up. And just to be transparent, people, if you don't invest and take this opportunity now, unfortunately, the way we're seeing these prices going up, our kids might not have an opportunity to get in. So you might be the last man standing or the last option. So trying to get into that now, and you might be like I talk about Conrad Hilton. He's the one that brought the wealth in the Hilton family. You might be that matriarch or patriarch that bring that in, and that, well, I know we say it a lot of time, cliche, generational wealth, but no, it is true. We need to line up some things for our generation more than ever, because we see AI taking over a lot of jobs, right? And it's almost getting to a breaking point where you need to leverage this credit. You can't outwork the inflation that you're seeing. You cannot save and work to pay 400,000 for a home. So we're going to have to use another strategy. We might have to leverage that credit and our annual income to qualify for a home loan. So those are the things you want to, lastly, take action and put some things to work for you. And this is what the credit kickoff is about, to give you support, to give you a community. And we want to see you get your goals in 2027. So Diamond, if 2026, I'm already skipping a year, but 20 and 2027 too. We want to see you make your goals in both. So Diamond, you can come on up and we're going to be able to address everyone's questions.
So I wanted to start off with highlighting an elite member. So Mrs. Primetime, she said, "Hey Sherry, I just came to listen, of course, and testify that I personally use your elite credit system, and it helped me get a 528 to a 700 in a little over 3 months. I recommend you and your channel."
Congratulations. Thank you so much for that testimonial, Miss Primetime. I know I'll get your real name. I know we in incognito, but congratulations. I mean, deep congratulations to you, because she did that 7 step, and which is taking action. And look at her. She didn't wait till the new year. She took action 3 months ago, and look how quick things can change. Now, I'm not saying everybody is going to see those results, but like I said, some of you guys, credit might not be as bad as you think. You just want to take action, and just like she did, and there you go. It don't have to take all day, but just take a little consistency and you guys can get there in 2026. And so congratulations to you. Thank you so much for that testimonial. I appreciate it.
Now we have a comment that asks, whose information should I value? TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, or Kickoff, and Ava?
Well, all three, which is TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. This is actually a good question because this will go deeper into credit. So you guys understand different lenders, right? I know this sucks. They use different scoring models, right? So imagine it like my Apple iPhone, right? There's different models to your iPhone. So ISO, what are they on now? Diamond 17? I don't know. These people, I don't know. We can't keep up. But imagine if you had the iPhone 11. That's an older model. And so there's older models of FICO scores, or Experian. So might have a FICO 8. It's an older model, but the majority of lenders are using the 8. There's 9, there's 10. So what you want to value is what you're going to get approved for. Okay. So if you're going for a home right now, they're going to use especially if you go on FHA, they're going to use FICO 10T and a Vantage 4.0 score. So, if I'm looking at a home, they used to pull all three and they used to use like FICO 5, an older model. And so that might have your credit scores lower than what you're seeing on Experian because they're showing you a FICO score 8. So, depending on the bank, right, where you're going for and what type of product, a credit card, credit line, they use different scoring models. Going back to my elite credit system, y'all being plugged in, this is where I can make you a list where you should be going for you. So, for instance, people love Navy Federal. People like, oh, Navy Federal. You know why? They use a FICO score, TransUnion FICO score 9. Now, 9, unlike 8, any medical collections, it don't actually count for you with a FICO score 9. So people say, hey, I'm getting bigger credit lines with Navy Federal. It's because of the scoring model they're using to approve you versus you going to Chase. They're going to use an Experian FICO score 8. And if you got medical collections, it's going to count that against you. So you want to know what scoring model and what product, because different banks might use a different, like I think with Navy Federal, they used to use Equifax, but for their credit cards, right, their personal credit cards, they're going to use a TransUnion FICO score 9. But if you're going for their business credit card, they're going to use a Experian FICO score business. It's Experian business FICO score 9. So they can switch up, okay, depending on the product. So you pretty much need to research where you need to go. So this is part of the strategy, y'all. That's why I'm saying with the other channel, I'm going to give y'all strategies on how to get the banks to come to you. So you ain't got to guesstimate because they got all this going on. Just like he's saying, well, how am I supposed to know who I should be taking seriously? If they come to you, it's like, I'll use this time as a man, okay? You might, or men, you might be feeling a lady, okay? And you like, I don't know if she feeling you, or Diamond, you don't know if the dude, but if he walk up, hey girl, what's your name? Now you know I can shoot my shot there, that they have interest. So same thing, it's a strategy to find out if the bank got interest in you. You want the bank to court you, then you chasing, just like you, sir, you chase a woman and you don't know if she got interest, you could get denied and it don't feel good. Ladies, we can get denied and it hurts your feelings. So that's what happened with the banks. We want the banks to pursue us. So with my strategy, that's why I pick out those things according to you, what you should go for, because we don't want you pursuing the bank and the bank is not really searching for your profile. Okay. We don't want that. We don't want those denials. We want, when you apply, you should be shocked you didn't get approved. We don't want, it'd be many people like, I'm surprised they approved me. You should have not been applying for that. You should be surprised I ain't get that. That's the way we want to do it. Okay. So we want to make sure the bank wants you, but that's why, because it can be a whole crapshoot. Now there is some banks that only use Vantage scores. They don't even use FICO scores. FICO, and there's some credit unions that use that. So it depends on you, right? And so that's what you have to judge on, what you need and what bank you going to, what institution. So hopefully that gives somebody some insight.
There was another question from Ralph that asked, so do you think it's important to be concerned with the consumer report more than the credit score?
Consumer report in what way? Consumer credit report or then the credit score? Or you mean the credit profile versus the credit score? Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I think. You mean the credit profile. That's a good question. It depends on where you're at. So you kind of want to do both. So I give that example because I believe you're saying your credit profile versus the score. So it's like the when people say about losing weight, you may want to actually lift weights and not just diet your way down because then you may look slim fat. You know what I'm saying? It's the same figure you got, but you just look skinnier and it's not better. You want to work on your body composition. So you still want to do both. I know a lot of dudes, y'all like to just lift weights, but ladies, we like to do a little both. You know, we might want to lift weights, but we want to hit that little cardio, and men might have to do that for your heart health too. So that's what you want to do. Sometimes if you're cutting, as men, y'all bulk up, you got to cut down. Okay. You got to, if we want to see all that work, you got to slim down. But doing too much slim down, you could lose a lot of muscle. You know what I'm saying? So you want to do it the right way. You want to come down and you want to build up in the right way. So the same thing with your credit score. You don't want to put a ton of junk and credit builders on your credit card and credit score and say, hey, look, I got a 800 credit score, but it's all credit builders. You want to, as you go, then try to get to a better product. So I'll tell my people, they might start off because their score is really struggling and is really low, maybe in the 400s, 450. And you might not really even can get subprime banks to give you a credit card. So we might have to add on a credit builder, something with a subscription like a Ava, something like that, because they'll approve you. But we don't get a ton of those. We'll just see, let it report. If your score go to now a 580, now we'll look for banks that will take that 580 and move away from having all credit builders. You might keep Ava on for a little while, get another credit card at that 580, and now your score might bump up to a 650. You're looking totally different. So that's when you want to go to better tier cards to make your credit profile look better, and you don't have all these subprime cards because you want to do both. So hopefully that answer your question. You want to use both strategies.
Someone asked, oh, I'm so sorry, I lost their comment, but it was a good one. Someone said, I'm trying to purchase a car and notice that my credit is stagnant and I can't get my credit score up.
Now that goes back to my first step. You need to see what review your credit report, because one of the things it could be, if you have that a negative item like a collection or a charge off, you need to look at it, because it could be something hitting you every month and they're doing that to keep your score stagnant, not for it to go up. Now, if you say, hey, Sherry, I don't have any negative items on my credit report, then I will look at my utilization. Look at my utilization. Are your credit cards maxed out? Close to being maxed out? If it's over 60%, 30%, you start seeing them points go down. So that might be your issue. Okay. It could be that. Or if you recently applied for a car or something like that, you could have had a ton of hard inquiries. That's another nuisance. And people don't even know those people shotgun their credit like that. So that's why it's good to monitor your credit. And just like your weight, it's easier to lose 5 pounds than 50. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you should monitor your credit too. When things go left, it's easier to remove, 3 hard inquiries that show up than 20. But we could get the 20 on. But I'm just saying, so you want to stop it before it gets started. So hopefully that can answer your question, where your stagnation may be and where you need to look.
Oh, she had a second part of that question. She said, so I paid off $40,000 in debt, and now I only have 2 lines reported, but my credit is still fair.
40,000 in debt. So was that a credit card and then they shut it down, or did they shut it down? I need some more details. What's that 40K I paid off? Like, what was that? Was it student loans? That, like, what kind of accounts? Because that makes a difference, believe it or not. And then I can kind of get a guesstimate on what it is.
We can circle back to that one. Lawrence asks, hey, Lawrence. Lawrence asks, do you have any creative strategies to leverage stores of hard currencies for land purchase without giving up ownership of them?
Creative strategies to leverage stores of hard currencies to purchase land. Now, do you think precious metals of hard currencies or other like foreign currencies like exchange? If you can, I'm thinking you thinking like silver and gold and things like that. Because if it's like gold or silver and you got those currencies, you can go to your local coin shop or your local gold dealer. I'll go to my local gold shop. They're going to give you the most competitive prices, to be honest, if you want to exchange in order to get the money, in order to convert it to buy land and silver. And that's not a bad strategy at all. That's not a bad strategy.
We just got a question.
Did I miss it? He said without giving ownership of them. Oh, hold on, I messed up.
He said without giving up ownership of them.
I don't know about that. I know in Florida they're using they trying to set up some kind of system of.
He said yes, gold and silver.
Yeah, I think in Florida, but no, you're probably going to have to use it for a down payment. If you find out, though, let me know. Yeah. But yeah, you probably a percentage of that is going to give up for the land. But it wouldn't be a bad trade-off depending on what you're going to do with the land. Like I said, if the land is not going to sit stagnant, it's going to cash flow for you. It may be a better option, depending on your lifestyle. So, but not that I know of that you can just, not that I know of, unfortunately.
So we had a question. My question, I have a $0 payment student loan, but it's reporting increase on my credit. Why is that?
It sounds like it's in forbearance or deferment, and so they could be counting the interest against you, because I think what forbearance, you still got the interest a lot of times accumulated. I think deferment you don't. So that could be it.
We had a question that said, my kickoff says that my credit scores are near or above a 700, but when I checked TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian websites, my scores were way lower, on an average about 50 points different.
Because Kickoff could be using a Vantage score model, and you need to see what version. Is it 3 or 4.0? And Experian and TransUnion websites, it depends on, oh, well, the direct website, you need to see the score model. I know Experian is generally going to be FICO score 8. And so they're different. That's like saying Android and iPhone, they use different operating systems. So they might use the same fundamentals in order to judge the credit score, but some of them, like Vantage, for a missed mortgage payment, they penalize you harder on there than FICO. It just look at a missed payment as a missed payment. So it depends on the scoring model and what version that Kickoff have. Is it a 3.0 or a 4.0? And that's how they grade different.
So this wasn't a question, but more so a goal of someone who said they wanted to increase their personal credit to become a stronger PG for their businesses. I wanted to ask, do you have any advice for people that are looking to get into business credit, and how should they set up? Because a lot of people will come and ask about business credit, but they'll say, but my personal credit is a mess and I'm not sure which one to look at first.
Well, if you're cash flowing, there's other options. If your business is actively making money, there's a lot of fintech companies that you can and you might can get some loans like On Deck in different places, Blue Vine, like that. And there's Divvy Card. There's other options that you can get to use if you're cash flowing. If you don't, and you're using your personal credit, it's going to be a 680 credit score and up, and probably in this environment, a 700 credit score and up. No late payments in the last 2 years, no bankruptcies reporting, no paid charge-offs. They pretty much want to see no derogatories. Now, late payments is tolerable to a certain extent with certain lenders, but they want to see no blemishes, because the banks is looking, if you can't run your personal credit, then you can't run business credit. All right. So that's they don't trust you with a business. So if you're going to go on that business credit side as being a personal PG, they definitely don't want high credit card utilization. That's not going to be a good look. They want to see all things rolling well on that bit. It's a much higher standard. So you definitely, any negatives, I wouldn't want to settle anything right now. I would definitely hardly try to dispute everything as off as possible. And I'll be surprised how people just like, well, I missed, a payment like 6 months ago. Oh, that don't look good for the banks. You can get away with personal credit. Some is much more forgiving than trying to go after business credit, because if you're expected to run a business, they want to see that you have a business. So that's for credit cards. But understand, big banks, if it's a new business, they want to see that you've been in business for 2 years for a business loan. So that's why fintech companies are good. And sometimes they want to see a standard. You can get business credit cards with a PG, but yeah, if you're going to big banks, yeah, they gonna want to see, those factors. They don't really want to see anything negative than, late payments, maybe. And that's 2 years old. So hopefully they answer the question.
The Queen Bee had a question of how to repair after a Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
You want to dispute first. You want to go after the public record of the bankruptcy. So you want to get that first off. And then all those accounts that was wrapped up in that bankruptcy, they're charged off, and they'll say charged off in bankruptcy, then you can attack those. Then you can say, that ain't mine. So the strategy is to get that bankruptcy reporting off of the public records. Now, understand it may not be all linear, okay, for anything, especially with bankruptcy. You might get one to remove. Equifax seems to go a little easier with that, to remove that bankruptcy reporting, and then you can start removing or attacking those charge-offs. It get much easier if you can get that bankruptcy out of the public records. And then you can just leverage that one that you got cleared off to help you build your credit score. Because if you get approved for a credit card using that Equifax, like going with a Truist, when that card report, it'll add positive payments in that credit line and show up on the other bureaus. But Truist, just for instance, only look at Equifax. So that's one of the strategies. And then you can distribute and keep plugging at the other bureaus as you go and build.
We had a question. Juanita wanted us some more information about the elite credit system. So she had a question about the community part, what the access looks like on a monthly basis, and if do we have to use smart credit if we already have identity IQ when signing up for the program?
Yes, it's smart credit is what the platform connects to. So unfortunately, can't use identity IQ because that's what it imports the scores for smart credit from smart credit. So it's just a software. They work together. And what was the other part, Nyman? I'm sorry, the access.
No, she was asking about the community. So the elite credit system, you have access on a monthly basis. So it is a monthly payment and a subscription.
Yeah, a subscription. And it's $39.99 with that. And you have our meetings every Saturday. So if you have any issues with your credit, we can set up on and it's good to give me more details because sometimes you guys for a person, for instance, if you have late payments reporting and it was during the pandemic, some of those accounts should have been covered under the CARES Act. So that might be a way to dispute that off. Or some of you guys, you can look into your IRS if you got to charge off your IRS online transcripts. And if you received a 1099, sometimes you don't get it in the mail, they 1099-C that item. You can use that to get that report off. So sometimes those details that you guys can share with me may be a different angle that we need to be using to deal with these negative items. So that's one for those that also at the same time, like I said, when something go left, accounts close and some of your credit lines go. So also getting those, if you need credit lines, I can identify companies that you need to be going for that pull from your strongest credit score. So giving you accounts that soft pull pre-approval. Okay, so we're not just out there randomly applying for credit. And another good one too, with that, some of you guys may have an account that you're disputing. Synchrony may give out a lot of credit lines. And that might be, hey, maybe you can go over here with this card with Synchrony, but I can see you already have a negative item with Synchrony. So we ain't got no business going to see them that you owe them money. So maybe we need to work with Community over here for you. So that's another positive point, because I do understand a lot of people they don't really check in with different banks. If you got something with Community and this is a Bread product, we know now that Community now changes name to Bread. So if you already got an outstanding charge off or a collection, we shouldn't be going over here applying, because that's a hard no. So that's another way that you can be helped. And also people that need car loans, selecting right pre-approvals. That's my thing. It's always going to be, we're going to try to test this out to see if we can get a pre-approved offer for you instead of you going crazy. And then you come into the meeting, also a big strong point. I can understand the banks that you're with in your relationships. Some of y'all, if you are a veteran or whatever, then we need to be getting you into Navy Federal. We need to be using that relationship instead of you going over here first. So that's some of the key things. Or instead of you going over here, we need to, you already with USAA, we need to get you going over here. So that's part of the strategy part that you can get with the community.
I believe that was our last question. If anyone else has any last minute questions here, but that was our last question that we had for.
And all right. Well, thank you everyone for gracing us with your time. We really appreciate it. And stay tuned. Like I said, Diamond, drop those link again, and make sure, Diamond, for when this stream end, anybody that's joining us, even if the live ended, we'll have those links for you already in the pink comment section. Mm-hmm. So if y'all want this information and we want to give you this motivation, she should too be rolling out a challenge. If you're trying to build your social media reports, that's another thing, you guys. Me and Diamond both, you know, you can get credit cards as being a content creator. There are certain companies or a company that give content creators credit cards without doing a hard credit check, child. They look at your social media followings. So, you know, people are talking about business credit. If you can get these things to cash flow, now you are media advertising. So that's a whole nother part. Y'all think YouTube and social media, YouTuber. No, I'm a media advertising company. You don't put down, I'm a YouTuber. No, I'm a advertising, or I'm media. And so that's another way that y'all get that cash flowing and your credit ain't strong. That could be a source of revenue where you can show to get business credit, because you will have a business. So please understand, y'all, social media is a business. And a lot of you guys, if you're not using that to generate revenue, you could be missing out on the opportunity to get some business credit going that way. So that is, and somebody said, is rent reporting a real thing? Yes, rent reporting can be a good way that you can use your rent in order to show up for positive payment history, and can help you with backdated history. So I'll talk about that too coming up in these weeks on trade lines such as that rent reporting, because certain like FICO 9 I mentioned earlier, some of those do account for rent reporting. So that's also a good strategy also. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this credit kickoff. Can't believe it's 2026. My God, what happened in 2025? But we're gonna make 26. We're gonna make it great. All right. So new year, as my cousin Kanisha would say, she's part of the group, one of the managers there. New year is a new you. So let's make it great 2026.
And we will be back here same time every weekend for the rest of January. And please do, one thing that we like to do is collaboration. So please share it with some friends and family that you might know that need to get their credit right, that need to get their finances right. Please do share the live and share the information.
And please do tell us where you are. I mean, keep track. Sometimes you don't want to put all your business out in the street, but we want y'all to keep track, just like a weight loss challenge. Please, y'all, go check your credit score, apply, and put these skills to action, and let us know at the end how many points did your credit score increase. So we want to see that you get real, tangible results, and it keep going throughout 2026. All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you all next weekend.
All right. Enjoy your night. Bye-bye.